Is funny. We spend years training for a career, but we get almost zero training for one of the biggest roles we'll ever have, being a partner. A lot of what we know about relationships just comes from what we saw growing up, and that really shapes how we connect with people. So today, we're going to dive into the actual skills that can make a marriage not just survive, but truly thrive.
And that brings us to a really big question, right? Is love enough? We all kind of assume that if you love each other, that's all you need. But to build a marriage that's really fulfilling and lasts, love is just the foundation. It's not the whole house. You've got to build on top of it.
And that's the core idea here. Thriving partnerships are built on a set of practical, totally learnable social skills. In this explainer, we're going to break down 5 of the most essential building blocks that can really transform a relationship. We're calling them the 5 C's.
So, first things first, we're going to start with the skills that begin from within. Because let's be honest, before you can work well as a team, you have to understand your own playbook. A strong partnership really does start with managing yourself.
Okay, our first C is consciousness. This is all about self-awareness. It's that ability to actually recognize what you're feeling, and maybe more importantly, to understand why you're feeling it. When you're conscious of your own internal world, you stop just reacting on autopilot, and you can start interacting with purpose. Let's look at how this plays out with a couple, Sonia and Rohan. Sonia would get super anxious whenever Rohan didn't text back right away. Her mind would just go to the worst-case scenario. But once she became conscious that this was really coming from her own insecurity, they could actually tackle the problem as a team. He learned to send a quick, "I'm busy" text, and she worked on giving him that space. See? It's a perfect example of how consciousness can diffuse a conflict that would otherwise just keep happening.
All right, let's move on to our second inner skill, which builds right on top of the first one, composure. Look, disagreements are gonna happen. That's just a fact of life. Composure is the art of hitting the pause button, choosing to respond calmly instead of just reacting impulsively in the heat of the moment.
This story about Aman and Priya is a great example. They started arguing about money at a family gathering. Talk about a high-stress situation. But instead of letting it escalate, Aman just took a moment, took a breath, and explained his concerns calmly. And because he didn't attack her, Priya didn't feel like she had to get defensive. She softened her tone too. And just like that, a potential huge fight turned into a productive conversation. That's the key takeaway here. Composure creates safety. So now that we've covered that internal work, let's look at the skills that really define how you function together. These are the partnership skills, all about how you operate as a truly unified team.
Our third C is communication. And hey, we're not just talking about talking. Real communication is the bedrock of feeling heard, understood, and truly valued in a relationship. It's about creating that emotional intimacy by actually taking the time to understand your partner's unique world. Think about Anjali and Dev. Anjali felt unloved because Dev wasn't a big talker. For her, love was all about hearing words of affirmation. But Dev's way of showing love, his love language, was through acts of service, doing things for her. The crazy part is they were both showing love, but it was getting totally lost in translation. As soon as they communicated these different needs, everything clicked. He started making an effort to use his words, and she started seeing all the love in his actions.
And here's a really powerful tool you can use for this. Just look at the difference here. Instead of saying things like "you always" or "you never," which instantly puts your partner on the defensive, try starting with "I feel." Saying "I feel unheard" isn't an accusation. It's just you expressing your own emotion. It invites a conversation instead of starting a fight. It's a game changer. This flows right into our fourth C, collaboration. A marriage is not a competition. It's not about who's right or who does more. It's a real partnership. It's this mindset where deep down, you are on the same team, sharing the load and championing each other's goals.
Raj and Simran had a classic problem so many of us face, 2 really demanding jobs. But instead of letting resentment build up over who was doing more around the house, they made a collaborative plan. Raj took care of the groceries, Simran handled the cooking. They became a team. This just shows that collaboration isn't only for the big life decisions. It's built in the small, daily, shared stuff. That's how you make sure no one feels taken for granted.
And that brings us to our final C, the one that really ties all the others together. You can think of this one as the emotional core, the engine that powers the whole relationship. Our fifth and final C is compassion. And this is about kindness, pure and simple. It's the ability to set your own ego aside for a minute, step into your partner's shoes, and really try to understand what they're feeling, and then offer support without judging or trying to fix anything. The story of Mira and Arjun is just so powerful. Mira was absolutely crushed after losing a big business deal. Now, Arjun's first instinct might have been to jump in with advice or tell her how to fix it, but he didn't. He just sat with her. He listened. In that moment, he wasn't her coach. He was her partner. And his compassion made her feel supported, not judged, which built this incredible layer of trust between them.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you don't just have a random list of ideas. What you have is a practical toolkit for building and taking care of a healthy, resilient partnership. So let's do a quick recap. It all starts with you. Consciousness to know what's going on inside, and composure to manage your reactions. Then it moves to the partnership. Communication to feel heard, and collaboration to work as a team. And then, holding it all together is compassion, that kindness that fuels the entire connection. These 5 skills working together are what ensure your relationship can keep growing stronger no matter what life throws at you.
So the real point is, how does this apply to you? As we wrap up, I just want to leave you with a question to think about. Of these 5 C's, consciousness, composure, communication, collaboration, and compassion, which one feels like it might be the missing piece for you and your partner right now? Just thinking about that, well, that's the first step toward building an even stronger bond. And if you're looking for more ways to have these important conversations, definitely check out our Resolve Together channel for more resources.